There's a possibility there could be a dumber take on this. There has to be, right? There's a, oh, hi. Yeah, you know, it's still Fox, so it's going to be in that wheelhouse. And obviously he doesn't have this asshole on, does he? Because he brings on Levin a lot. So this is Hannity. NBC and CNN don't care about the truth. They can't handle the truth. You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall. We'll see. So this is, I think this is Politico Supreme Court is, okay, this is, yeah, they're going to lead into this. But I don't know that that's what this is about. We'll find out.
Coming up, a bombshell new development from the Durham probe.
Oh, yeah, it looks great. By the way, you don't have another picture of that fucking dude?
We also have this.
Honestly, like, he looks like he has a dustpan broom on his face.
Disturbing new video showing alleged Antifa rioting, attacking Republicans in Portland. By the way, police took...
Oh, my God. It's an overwhelming crowd. Fuck Charlottesville. Look at that. The police took forever to get there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them and one filming. Jesus Christ. It's like a haunting. Portland, Oregon, Saturday, Facebook, Mayor stand for Oregon. Yeah, and by the way, it's a Republican running for office there. I'm sure this wasn't Republicans posing as Antifa. They don't have Antifa flags, they're just wearing black flags. All right. There was a black flag on my morning. There was a black flag on my day. There was a black flag and everything around me. I'm sorry.
The Biden administration.
That's hilarious. I mean, this is horrifying. I should have warned you guys. Trigger warning. This is worse than footage from Ukraine. Dear God, it looks like Mariupol. I don't know how they do it. Templeton knows her King's ex. Good for you. Jesus Christ. Look at this asshole. Look at the rest of Portland. Sorry. It's so lovely. I thought Antifa was gonna... They're not here?
Celebrating a looming food shortage.
Biden official says food shortages will push farmers to green energy. Never let a crisis go to waste. Christine Park Sunday. I'm sure she phrased it exactly like they done. Samantha Power gloats that food shortages will push farmers towards green energy policies. She gloats, does she? Was it a... I mean, so this is an Antifa attack.
Forever to get...
And then... so I'm looking at this, and this is an attack, and this is an overwhelming show of force by Antifa. So I will take what you called this, and I will use that as a filter to view everything else you say through.
The Biden administration is celebrating a looming food shortage that would...
A food shortage. Okay, hold on. This is Fox.com, but... Biden official says food shortages will push. Okay, that should be enough to get it. Fox News. Here we go. 2 days ago. Quit it. Biden official says food shortages will push farmers to green energy. Never let a crisis go to waste. She echoed other Biden officials viewing Russia's war with Ukraine as an opportunity. Shut up. Shut up. Opportunity for their energy agenda. Okay, this top Biden official said Sunday that the global food shortage crisis would push farmers towards relying on more green energy. Never let a crisis go to waste. U.S. Agency of International Development, USAID Chief Samantha Power told Stephanopoulos on This Week. Speaking of the global consequences of Russia's war with Ukraine, the Biden official said that fertilizer shortages would provide farmers the opportunity to hasten their transition from fertilizer to more natural resources. Fertilizer shortages are real now because Russia is a big exporter of fertilizer. Even though fertilizer is not sanctioned, less fertilizer is coming out of Russia, unless you watch their television shows. As a result, we're working with countries to think about natural solutions like manure and compost, and this may hasten transitions that would have been in the interest of farmers to make eventually anyway, so never let a crisis go to waste. Power added the administration was still asking Congress to pass more relief. Requested another $33 billion for humanitarian assistance and military, but we really do need this financial support from Congress to be able to meet emergency food needs, so we don't see the cascading deadly effects of Russia's war extend into Africa and beyond. That sounds like she's gloating. President Biden's Energy Secretary Granholm Holt made similar remarks back in March, pushing for Congress to use the crisis to pass clean energy legislation and to wean off fossil fuels. This crisis in Europe and the crisis of our allies are facing, and the reduction in supply of natural gas and oil from Russia creates a moment that we should be acting on, I suppose. With regard to food shortage, yes, we did talk about food shortages. It's going to be real, Biden said at the NATO summit in Belgium. The president faced criticism from John Kennedy. I believe there's a bear stuck in the hole. And Energy Secretary Rick, Energy Secretary Rick, I got nothing. I forgot it. Who blamed the Biden administration to push to end fossil fuels as the big reason for rising gas prices, which is just stupid. But okay, there you go. Gloating. I mean, in all fairness, it says here, but gloat says
force America's farmers to, quote, go green.
Yeah, just forces them to go green. It'll force them to go green. That's what it says. He's astounded. He's horrified that she would say something she didn't say, but still.
Really?
Really? No, not really. No, that's not actually what she said.
That's the next inflation. That's the next.
Yes, manure. We have still not figured out a way to take the shit you spew every night and just have it land straight on farmland. But when we do, Sean, you'll be the third to know.
A hike on gas. Now the food prices aren't high enough. Anyway, we'll also weigh in on Joe's big weekend in Washington, D.C. By the way,
good graphic. I've heard of Fiverr. Do they have a twofer?
My record is intact.
I'm sorry, your record is intact?
Joe's big weekend.
You cacked your record?
In Washington, D.C. By the way, my record is intact.
It was attacked. He did say tact. And somebody laughed at this. Is he alone? Where is he in this weird
weekend in Washington, D.C.? By the way, my record is intact. In all the years
they know this joke is coming.
I've been on radio, 35 years, 26 and a half years at Fox. I've never been to a single White House Correspondents' Dinner, and I did not break that record and show up this weekend, and I never will. I know they don't like me. I don't particularly like them, so let's not play games. Anyway.
Didn't get an invite. It's sad. I know some people who went.
They did have some fun. Good at.
Yeah, well, that's because you weren't there. I mean, basically, that's how you find fun. It's the easiest way to find fun in the world. Find where Sean Hannity isn't. Guaranteed slightly more fun than where he is. That's you know, there's your adult decision.
Our expense, that's also good. And Saturday's White House Correspondents' Dinner will give you an update. Now, we want to introduce.
Can you give me an update without sniffing every 2 sentences?
Introduce you to a not-so-bright MSDNC host.
That's Mehdi Hassan. America's asymmetric polarization. Grip on reality. It's from the weekend show, from Mehdi Hassan's show.
Who's having a really...
Oh, look, it's got a bunch of Stop the Steal folks. I wonder why they're sensitive about this. Let's see.
Hard time with coping with Twitter's new ownership. Now, we go to one of their hosts. I don't really know this guy, Mehdi Hassan.
Yeah, but he sounds like he's got a terrorist-y kind of a name. I don't know. And I don't really, we're having to really look hard to find stuff that looks extreme to us. And yeah.
His dangerous neo-Nazi.
How he can't help with all of the sniffing, it's because of his cocaine habit. Thank you, Mistopheles. I appreciate that. I was not aware. I don't know for a fact that he has a cocaine problem. Sorry, you said habit. Right. I wouldn't presume that it was a problem. He's got plenty of money.
Nazis are now poised to take.
What is a cocaine problem is not for Sean Hannity is not being able to find any.
Take over the country, all because Elon Musk bought Twitter.
One of the dumbest people in cable news calls Elon Musk not so bright. Outkick. I don't know what an outkick is. I don't care.
And Elon Musk is saying, stay on Twitter. All my critics, feel free to attack me because that's what free speech is all about. They're that upset? Take a look.
We are living through an unspeakably dangerous moment. The pro-QAnon, pro-neo-Nazi faction of the Republican Party is poised to expand dramatically come the midterms.
I disagree, Mehdi.
We're just 2 years away from Donald Trump very possibly re-seizing executive power.
Nope, never happened. It's not going to run. I appreciate it. I mean, you're fear-mongering, but it's the kind of thing that will get you on Fox News.
If that happens, we may look back on this past week as a pivotal moment.
If that happens, an asteroid will have already struck the Earth, and we will be living in the remnants of the planet in VR tubes, experiencing ancestor simulations of what Earth used to be like, and we will just be picking that version of reality because it's fucked up and we're bored.
When a petulant and not so bright billionaire casually bought one of the world's most influential messaging machines and just handed it to the far right.
Now, today, Elon Musk, he responded, tweeting out, quote, NBC is basically saying Republicans are Nazis. By the way, Elon, I don't know if you've ever watched the show or you're watching tonight.
He's not.
Every single day. Used to be every 2 years, every 4 years. Now
he's already bored. Yeah, he's a science guy, Sean. You already lost him. Yeah, you gotta tighten your message or loosen it entirely. I think that's how he operates.
Pretty much every day, Republicans are racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islam.
But that's just at Fox. I don't think they're all like that. Just the people in your building.
Homophobic, now transphobic.
Well, yeah. Well, I wouldn't say you're transphobic. I don't consider them transphobic. I consider you a bigot. I don't think any of these people have a mental disease like a phobia. Phobia, if you get upset about somebody having a phobia of any sort, you're being ableist, I think technically. I think he's just an asshole.
They want dirty air and water. They want grandma and grandpa only to eat dog and cat food. Mm-hmm. And then they want some prominent Republican lookalike to take granny and grandpa in a wheelchair and throw them over a cliff. Welcome to my world. Welcome.
That's really weird. So I think we thought it was cocaine. Now it might be, there might be something in the mix. I don't know what, I've never done drugs. Anybody know what kind of mix with your cocaine would be in that? Is it PCP or is it just stevia?
Welcome to the world of conservatism. This is the same organization.
I'm sorry, Republicans are conservative? Explain.
That covered up the Hunter Biden laptop. He goes,
what Hunter Biden laptop?
Goes on and had the Harvey Weinstein story early, and they killed it. And they built Matt Lauer. He wrote his rape office. Woof. I think he's.
Elon's been watching my stand-up.
Talking about that lock thing that had been reported. I don't know if that was ever verified. Lovely people, he writes. Anyway, I'll add, this is the same network that brings you Joy Reid, conspiracy theorist of all time, Rachel Maddow. And
well, I wouldn't call her the conspiracy theorist of all time. You've done drugs with Alex Jones, haven't you, Sean? I'm sorry, I'm kidding. Is adrenochrome a drug?
Until recently, Lion Brian Williams, you know, the guy that saw dead bodies floating during Katrina in front of his hotel that wasn't flooded. And needless to say, NBC News doesn't exactly value truth. Neither does fake news CNN.
But meanwhile, Hannity's going to have on John Solomon in a second. So obviously, he's just, jealous about the viewership? It's because they have better ads, isn't it? They've got like Mercedes and shit like that, and you're selling catheter tubes.
And for that matter, both organizations are only
CNN, the home of fake news. It's a moving graphic. I will give them that.
Propaganda arms for the DNC. They peddle in lies, conspiracy.
They puddle in lies? Have you been puddling lies?
Organizations are only propaganda arms for the DNC. Mm-hmm. They peddle in lies.
Yes, they puddle in lies. Mm. How do they hide the stains?
Conspiracy theories, always to advance the socialist agenda, hate on conservative.
What socialist agenda would that be? What, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid? S-chip? The highway program? None of it's socialist. What are you talking about?
Everything conservative. And
well, again, what's conservative?
Trump and all Trump supporters.
Well, that's true. That's true. Because I think they're in a subcategory.
On Sunday, one CNN guest called for the federal government to step in, regulate discourse on Twitter before it's too late. Take a look.
Musk doesn't want it. You know, he's upset with the SEC, tried to, how dare they question him? You know what?
This is reliable sources. Elon Musk strikes a deal to buy Twitter. Now what? I don't know who the guy is.
This is dangerous. We can't think anymore in this country. We don't have people. No, I'm serious. We don't have people in Congress who can make regulations that can make it work. I think we can look to the Western countries in Europe for how they are trying to limit it. But you need controls on this. You need regulation. You cannot let these guys control discourse in this country, or we are headed to hell. We are there. Trump opened the gates of hell, and now they're chasing us down.
Now, where were these people when Donald Trump, conservatives banned, suspended, canceled, shadow banned?
You still have an account, fucko. So does Ben Shapiro. So does Candace Owens. Nobody gets kicked off just for being conservative. You get kicked off for suggesting people should squirt horse paste up their ass or deep throat a light bulb to fight COVID.
You know, this is the common theme on the left. It's called hypocrisy, unlike many of my so-called...
Yes, all of us who are on the left who are clamoring to burn books.
Competitors, I've never called for any show or any host or any guest to be canceled or boycotted or censored.
That's because you, it's one of the areas where you and I are kind of in league, Sean, is that both of our shows are predicated on mocking people that are on the opposite side of the aisle in some ways, and sometimes on the same side, but mostly it's people who are ideological opposites. The difference is that I'm always punching up and you're just a dick.
I believe in free speech, and if you don't like what they say, I hope you tune them out. Most Americans already are. But according to them, the American people, you can't be trusted. Only big mother government knows right from wrong. For example, while MSDNC and fake news, CNN, free
government creep. I thought you weren't going to bring up Trump.
Speak out about Elon Musk and free speech on...
Oh, we're going to the Ministry of Truth. I am the Minister of Truth, just in case you were wondering. It's true. I am one of a kind, and I'm the only one. And just get used to the idea. I'm the Minister of Truth. That's right. I know what truth is. Whatever I say is true, and we'll just leave it at that. Why not? Since it doesn't exist, it might as well exist on my terms.
On Twitter, all of a sudden, they ignored it all this time. They're all but applauding the Homeland Security Secretary in his announcement or pronouncement of a creepy new disinformation governance board, or as we call it on this show, the Socialist Democrats' Minister of Leftist Truth.
Wow, I mean, Ministry of Truth was kind of working. And then you gacked it up.
Watch this.
Yes, you're right. And technically speaking, people are pointing this out in chat. I am the Minister of Truth. Truth sensual.
Here in the U.S., there's been an uproar in recent days about the Department of Homeland Security setting up what they call a disinformation governance board. This has been mostly a Fox World story. It could come up earlier today on CNN State of the Union, but I don't think people know what it is and what it isn't. And there's just been a lot of right-wing uproar without knowing what it is. So
now keep in mind the DHS.
He was going to ask her what it was. You're going to take the question and avoid the answer, Sean. That's curious.
They were founded after 9/11. We lost nearly 3,000 of our fellow Americans.
Well, we know where they are.
They were designed to prevent another 9/11.
Oh, I see. And so having something to prevent another January 6th, for example, wouldn't be a bad idea.
Another attack on the homeland. Right.
Even if it's by people inside who've been radicalized by outsiders. See how that works?
But under Secretary Mayorkas, the department has now turned their focus inward, a complete dereliction of duty?
Well, no, obviously not. They just don't want Americans poisoned with disinfo campaigns from outside the country. It's one thing if you join a group on Facebook of your fellow maggots and they're all convinced of that thing, that's their right as an American. But if they're 80% fake accounts from outside the country luring you to drive halfway across the country for some bullshit plot, that can be dangerous. And so knowing that they're out there kind of acting as a traffic cop for foreign influence campaigns might be helpful if you're just trying to, Ted Kaczynski your way through life, dum-dum.
Complete retreat from a post-9/11 world and policies to keep every American and this country safe from terrorists?
Yeah, but those rules still applied around 9/11, but all of a sudden, because the people that we're pushing back against are Russian and not Arab, that's your problem?
By the way, how many terrorist encounters did they have at the border? 41? We don't even know. How many people might have snuck in that we don't know about?
Yes. How many things that we don't know about have happened? Film at 11. Of course, we haven't developed it, but.
And according to Mayorkas, disinformation and climate change, they are the crises.
Oh, and he's got to look behind him. Globalists
of the day, and apparently we have no one to blame but ourselves. In other words, the administration actually believes the greatest threat to this great country are we, the American people. We've got to look into domestic terrorism, those scary mommies and daddies.
The scary mommies and daddies. This is a grown man. This dude makes millions of dollars speaking for a living. What the fuck is happening? Who watches this shit? Scary mommies and daddies. Does this work? I mean, it must. Is this indicative of the kind of languaging necessary to reach their audience? Good Lord.
School board meetings that will be
no. They're not talking about those people at all.
Investigated for domestic.
You know what they're doing? And Sean, this is going to be upsetting. They're investigating who is telling migrants that the border is open. Apparently, someone is putting ads in newspapers and on television, and traffickers are having these conversations with people and are being paid to do it to get people to come to the U.S. border. And there's some concern that that might be a chaos influence campaign by the Russians, and that there might be some right-wing groups that are also paying for those things. See where this might end up? That you might see a story coming up that it turns out that a right-wing group in the United States is paying for caravans to come towards the border because they're using it as political pressure?
Domestic terrorism if they dare to raise their voice against CRT or age-inappropriate education.
Which has never happened. Still doesn't happen. Nobody gets in trouble for daring raise their voice. If you threaten to murder the principal, I mean, that's always been a violation of the law.
And counter to this grave threat, Mayorkas announced a new Ministry of Truth to be led by a far-left lunatic who ironically spreads a ton of disinformation all the time. For example, in April 2020, Nina Jankowicz referred to the COVID-19 lab leak theory as a baseless rumor spread by Trump supporters. False.
Biden disinformation chief's criticisms of lab leak theory were boosted by CCP. Her criticisms of it were boosted by the CCP, not this. Again, I don't know. Well,
Chinese state-run media frequently cited her fictitious claims, using them in their own disinformation campaign.
Right, it says they boosted, that's what it says.
And Jankowicz also spread misinformation playing down the Hunter Biden laptop.
There is no Hunter Biden laptop. You know everybody involved in this story, Sean. You're the biggest player in all of it. Well, I mean, Tucker is a bigger talent on the network, I'm sure. He tells you very often, but there is no Hunter Biden laptop. And until you can show it to me, I don't want to fucking hear that it's a story. I'm tired of it. I'm bored. Show me the laptop. It's 2022. I've got more video of Sean Hannity vaping than I have seen pictures of the laptop. Hold on one second. John Hannity vaping. Let's see what we got. Let's see. I go back to here.
Uh-oh. Now our villain of the day, Adam Schiff, Eric Swalwell. Well, because despite Swalwell's ties...
Get me the fuck out of here. Right. Let's see. There he is. Let's go to... I'm sure there's another one. Hold on. 1 second. Let's see. Do-ba-da-do. Commercial. Let's see. Oh, that's the same one. Okay. I have that video. You show me one picture of Hunter Biden shutting a laptop that he doesn't want anybody to look at. I don't even care if it's the one he was supposed to have dropped off. Let's fucking see it. Again, I level this challenge to anyone in media. There is no Hunter Biden laptop. Prove me wrong. I call bullshit. 100%. Not even like, well, there was, and then it's and then it was gone. It never existed. It was always a fabrication. It was always bullshit. It was always a coordinated attack. Prove me wrong. Where the fuck is it? Don't call it a laptop until, I mean, at least Steve Bannon has the decency to fuck up like a disgusting pig and call it the hard drive from hell, which is where it's from. Hell is actually a small town in Russia that they concocted this thing. Up. All right, hold on.
She called that a Trump campaign product.
It is. Yeah, it doesn't exist.
Another disinformation lie.
No, it doesn't exist. Fuck you.
She praised disinformation dossier author Christopher Steele. And on Twitter,
it's a lot. You're using a lot of the Washington Examiner stuff. I'm guessing you're just going back to this one again and again?
Enthusiastically voiced her support for Hillary Clinton and echoed Hillary's insane claim that Trump would embolden ISIS. No, Trump actually wiped them off the planet.
No, he didn't. As a matter of fact, the suicide bomber that killed our soldiers in Afghanistan was ISIS-K.
Sent them straight to hell where they belong. But don't worry, let not your...
Oh, I didn't realize. I thought they at least had a connecting flight.
Your heart be troubled. According to Mayorkas, our new disinformation minister is totally neutral, with no bias at all, who will only act in the best interest of Americans.
Which is a frightening notion for you, Sean.
On a government disinformation board that will never abuse its power. That's what he's saying. Didn't they tell us that with FISA warrants? Yeah, I think they did.
Yeah, and by the way, the FISA manipulation was the only thing that it was actually the manipulation of the FISA warrant that everybody cites was a person trying to make it less likely that Carter Page would have his FISA warrant extended.
Take a look.
Will American citizens be monitored?
No.
Guarantee that.
Well, so what we do, we in the Department of Homeland Security don't monitor American citizens.
You don't, but will this board change that?
No, no, no. The board does not have any operational authority or capability. What it will do is gather together best practices in addressing the threat of disinformation from foreign state adversaries, from the cartels, and disseminate those best practices to the operators that have been executing in addressing this threat for years.
Right. And you got to understand, that's going to eat into Sean Hannity's monologue.
Oh, so we're supposed to take his word for it. Didn't the federal government also tell us that the FISA program, that's right, it would never be used against Americans? Tell that to Carter Page and Donald J. Trump.
No, nobody ever said that. What are you talking about? That's like saying, remember those people that told us that undercover cops would never be a part of the cartel? Get the fuck out of here.
And what about this shocking report from late last week detailing how the FBI actually was caught?
Well, that was a sniff. That was a sniff. Hold on 1 second. What were they doing?
From late last week detailing how
FBI searched data of millions of Americans without warrants. Fascinating. Bloomberg. Let's go. I gotta look at this. I'm sure this is gonna be great. I'm sure there's no, let's see, FBI searched data of millions of Americans without, okay. This is, hold on, Extreme Tech, 22. Is this, that's the Bloomberg article, hold on. Here he goes. Search data of millions of Americans without warrants. Search came as the Bureau sought to curb a wave of hacking attacks. ACLU calls it invasion of privacy on an enormous scale. The FBI searched emails, texts, and other electronic communications of as many as 3.4 million U.S. residents without a warrant over a year, the nation's top spy chief said in a report. The queries were made between... So they started in December 2020, okay, to November 2021 by the FBI as they looked for signs of threats and terrorists within electronic data legally collected under the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, according to an annual transparency report. Oh, so it was in the annual transparency report, and it was part of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act specifically. The search came as the FBI made a push to stop hacking attacks, but the American Civil Liberties called it an invasion of privacy on an enormous scale. Today's report sheds light on the backdoor searches, unconstitutional backdoor searches. This is the, if you call a drug dealer 10 times, eventually the people listening in on who've got a warrant for the drug dealer are going to go, who the fuck's this asshole? Right? This is the, they spied on my campaign nonsense. The authority by the FBI used in this case under Section 702 of FISA, which is set to expire at the end of next year unless it's renewed by Congress, and it will be. Renewing debates. The report doesn't say that the activity was illegal or even wrong. Let's see, collect and review, especially data concerning individuals. In comparison, fewer than 1.3 million inquiries involving America's data were conducted between December 2019 and November 2020, according to the 38-page report. The DNI also, because there was a huge amount of uptick in foreign influence campaigns. The DNI also provided updated statistics reflecting a sharp increase in the number of times government officials sought to learn the identity of an American, a practice commonly referred to as unmasking, became a talking point by former Donald Trump and his conservative allies. The report sought to provide a justification for the increased FBI queries during the last year. In the first half of the year, there were a large number of batch queries related to attempts to compromise U.S. critical infrastructure by foreign cyber actors. According to the report, these queries, which included approximately 1.9 million query terms related to potential victims, including U.S. persons, accounted for the vast majority of the increase in U.S. person queries conducted by the FBI over the year. For fuck's sake, these are all the people that they were trying to get through. They were trying to use these people's accounts, and then it showed up, and they're like, who's this person? Oh, this is the person they're trying to hack into. Who's this person they're trying to hack in? Is this a, like, that's what you
how the FBI actually was caught searching millions of emails and
is that what they were doing?
Texts and other electronic communications of Americans without any warrant whatsoever.
No, actually, they had a warrant for the foreign accounts because it was under FISA, and they had a warrant whatsoever for those. And these other people, because they had so many connections to those things, got scooped up in the batch queries and then were processed out. Fucking hell. Like, this is the same shit that shows up when you get an ad on a website.
Now, the last thing this country needs is yet another government program.
Especially if it feeds children or allows women to get through a pregnancy without dying. Right, Sean?
That gets used and abused to monitor Americans' communication. I live this life every day. It's a great joy. You should...
The fuck? They monitor your communications? What are you talking about? You're on screen. This is voluntary.
Try it one day. Hey, Sean.
You should try it one day? That's it? Fucking hell. And that's the end of it. That's how they tail out on this thing.
I live this life every day. It's a great joy. You should try it one day. Hey, Sean.
No, I'd rather not. Thank you.